was one of those mornings when everything felt heavy for Anna, a young single mom who had been fighting against life storms ever since she could remember, waking up early in her tiny apartment with peeling walls, listening to her little son Liam breathing softly beside her, the only reason she had the strength to get up every single day, because even though the world had been cruel, even though she had been abandoned by the men she once trusted with her life, she still carried a fire in her heart to raise her son with dignity, and so she pulled herself out of bed, tied her messy hair into a bun, and quietly whispered a prayer before stepping into the small kitchen to prepare breakfast. Just bread and a little butter today, but Liam's smile made it feel like a feast, and as he laughed with his little toy car, Anna reminded herself that happiness was not in riches but in moments, though deep down she couldn't deny the ache of financial struggle, the overdue rent, the notice from her landlord, and the worry about losing her part-time job as a waitress if she couldn't find childcare. Still, she pushed herself to stay strong, because Liam deserved a mother who didn't break under pressure, and so after packing her worn-out bag and dressing Liam in his tiny jacket, she left the apartment, walking him to daycare before rushing across the bustling city to the cafe where she worked, her mind juggling stress and determination, and as she crossed the street near the tall glass towers where wealthy businessmen hurried in their suits, she noticed something unusual. A man staggering on the sidewalk, clutching his chest, his face pale and dripping with sweat, and before anyone else could even react, Anna dropped her bag and ran towards him, kneeling down as he collapsed onto the concrete, his body convulsing slightly, his breathing shallow, and the crowd that had gathered simply stood frozen, some pulling out their phones to record instead of helping, which filled Anna with anger. But she didn't waste time yelling, she acted, placing her hands on his chest. Recalling the CPR lessons she had once taken during high school, pressing down firmly in rhythm, tears welling in her eyes as she shouted for someone to call an ambulance, her voice trembling yet strong, while Liam's daycare teacher happened to be passing and quickly grabbed Liam to keep him safe from the crowd, giving Anna the freedom to focus, and with every push of her hands, every desperate breath she gave the stranger, Anna whispered, "Please don't die, please stay with me," and after what felt like an eternity, the man gasped faintly, his eyelids fluttering, just as paramedics arrived, taking over swiftly, praising Anna for her quick action, saying she had saved his life. Though Anna didn't feel like a hero, she only felt relief that the stranger was breathing again, and as they loaded him into the ambulance, one of the men asked her if she was family, but she shook her head, saying softly, "No, just someone who couldn't stand by and do nothing," before picking up her bag, realizing she was late for work, her hands shaking from adrenaline. What she didn't know was that the man she had just saved wasn't an ordinary stranger but Daniel Carter, a powerful CEO known across the city for his empire of businesses, a man who had more wealth than she could ever imagine, yet lay vulnerable and helpless on that sidewalk until she appeared, and while Anna went on with her day, struggling through her shift at the cafe, worrying about bills and Liam's needs, Daniel lay in the hospital bed, his mind hazy but filled with the image of a young woman with messy hair, worn clothes, and eyes full of determination, the woman who saved his life, and as he regained strength over the next few days, he couldn't stop thinking about her, wondering who she was, why she had helped when no one else did, and why her presence lingered in his heart like a quiet echo. Meanwhile, Anna never mentioned the incident to anyone, not even her co-workers, because to her it wasn't about recognition, it was about humanity, but fate had other plans, because a week later, as she carried a tray of coffee cups to a group of wealthy clients at the cafe, she froze, her heart skipping a beat, as one of the men sitting at the table turned his head and met her eyes. It was him, the stranger she had saved, alive, dressed in a sharp suit, his aura commanding the room, and though her hands trembled, she set the tray down carefully, whispering in disbelief, "It's you," while Daniel rose from his chair, a smile touching his lips as he said, "I finally found my angel," leaving everyone in stunned silence, for in that moment, the lives of a poor single mom and a powerful CEO became entwined by destiny, a story about to unfold that neither of them could have ever predicted, one that would test love, resilience, and the courage to follow the heart.